to poor people in Indonesia, there are two major barriers, mainly because of the society. Most of the poor people cannot read and write, so they would prefer listen and talk. ICT is only the tool. For listen and talk community, maybe radio and television would be appropriate. For read and write community, would be internet and computer would be appropriate. The barrier actually not the tool. The barrier would be the education process, to educate the society, to share the knowledge within the society, to encourage the society to produce their knowledge in local language. That's the major barrier. So it's not the tool, it's not the money, it's not the funding. Actually, the education process will be the barrier. Of course, the government also creates some sort of barrier in terms of regulation. We need to liberalize the regulation to enable community broadcasting as well as low-cost internet access.
How important is liberalizing those policies?
Actually, liberalizing is the major barrier, because education of the society can be done self-financially. They can do the education using their own money, but liberalization of the regulation is the major barrier right now, at least in Indonesia.
Would you draw a distinction between liberalizing and liberating?
Oh.
Or is liberating what you mean?
Liberating, sorry. Liberating, yeah.
How do you do that? How do you liberate?
Okay, how do I liberate the community right now? Because the government is quite strong. I mean, in terms of regulation, they are quite strong. It's difficult for me as an individual to convince the government that they need to liberate the regulation. So the way I liberate the technology, the ICT, for the people, I let the people talk to the government by themselves. If not, they build their own infrastructure. They build their own community broadcasting. They build their own internet access facilities. They build their own ISP without any license from the government. We basically steal the frequencies. Some of us will be sacrificed because of that. Some of the equipment taken by the government, but that's part of the movement. We have to pay for that.
You call it a movement?
It's a movement. It's not a project. It's a movement. The whole society move towards the knowledge-based society without any funding from the government, without any funding from the bank, without any funding from IMF. It's a movement within the society.